Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a lot to talk about today. We'll kick it off here in just a second with JC. Then we'll go second portion of the show. We'll have head baseball coach at the University of Florida, the number one team in America.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Sullivan will join the program. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by JC, who is sporting the Tampa Bay Buccaneer hat tonight.
Yeah, well, and a very good reason for that. Everybody's excited in Tampa. This will be the third franchise in Tampa to play for a championship in the last, 8 months? I don't know. So I think it's great for Hillsborough County and the surrounding areas, man. Go Bucs. You got to love Tampa. You got to be a Florida. If you're a Florida guy, you can root for the Buccaneers. They're not my favorite team, but I'll root for them against Kansas City. I like the Chiefs too. But, I think more than anything, it's amazing to me the run they went on and got into the playoffs winning 3 road games at Washington, at New Orleans, shutting down Drew Brees, and really getting to Aaron Rodgers. Now, they only picked him off one time, but they sacked him 5 times. They hit him 8 times, and I think they got to him a little bit. So give the defense credit, give the Bucs credit. We're setting up for an exciting day in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the reason the Bucs won the game is because of their defensive line. Now, you got to remember, all-pro offensive tackle for the Packers has been blew his knee out a couple of weeks ago, so they had trouble blocking. I mean, Aaron Rodgers still threw for 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, he played well enough to win. But give the Bucs credit.
Absolutely.
Their defense is what won the game. I know everybody wants the Tom Brady story is outstanding, and I get it. But he didn't play very well. I mean, he made some good throws in the first half, but the defense is the reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won this game. And it's the only reason, in my opinion, that this game could be close in the Super Bowl, because the Chiefs just lost their Pro Bowl left tackle to a torn Achilles. So the Packers played without their Pro Bowl left tackle. Now the Chiefs are going to be playing without their Pro Bowl offensive lineman as well.
Was that Fisher? So,
yes.
So that's trouble. There's no doubt about it. But, it's funny. You mentioned Tom Brady. When he played in his first Super Bowl QB in 2002, I think it was, in January, I was actually at that game. It was in New Orleans right after 9/11. And at that time, both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were in kindergarten. So here he is at 43 years old. He leads a team that hasn't won more than 9 games in the season basically in 10 years. They haven't won 9 games or more in 10 years. Here he is in his first year at 43 years old, and he wins 3 road games in the playoffs to take that team to the Super Bowl in Tampa. First team to host the Super Bowl as a team that plays in that stadium. I just think it's tremendous how you had in Tampa the Rays go to the World Series, the Lightning win the Stanley Cup, and now you've got the Bucs in the Super Bowl. Good for them. I mean, you're right. Kansas City, great performance against Buffalo. But when it comes to this Tampa Bay-Green Bay game, QB, I have to ask you about that decision by Matt LaFleur, obviously on 4th and 8, where they had 1st and goal. It then turned into 4th and 8. Aaron Rodgers had a play, it was either on 2nd or 3rd down, where it looked like he could have almost run the ball in the end zone, but he threw it instead on a scramble. What is your take on that decision on 4th and 8 to go for the field goal and give Tom Brady the ball back with about 2 minutes, 20 seconds to go?
Well, it doesn't matter who the other quarterback is, because Brady didn't really do anything to ice the game. It's the situation where you have the ball on the 8-yard line. You're down it's a 1-possession game.
Yep.
So I would have gone for it, because even if you miss it, you have 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, and the team starts with the ball on the 8-yard line.
It's hard for me to understand.
It is, and that's a coaching decision that will haunt him the rest of his life, but it also, I think, will make him a better coach. It's a shame that it came down to that. But yeah, I totally understand everybody. I'd be very upset about it as well. And it's interesting because usually these decisions like this are made by defensive minded head coaches, because they always think, my defense will bail us out and get us the ball back. But LaFleur's an offensive guy. And so that's what surprises me the most about the decision.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Dennis Green type of decision. I just don't understand. I just don't know why he didn't think that it would be a good situation to either get the touchdown or even not to get the touchdown and have them pinned back to get hopefully another chance. The pass interference call was the right call. Imagine if they didn't make that call and Green Bay gets the ball and wins the game. The NFL would look like fools. You simply can't grab the guy's jersey when he's going for a pass. I get that the frustration on Green Bay's sideline, but the reality is that that guy grabbed his jersey. And when you do that, the flag's coming. It shouldn't matter what part of the game they're playing in. The other thing that I was amazed at was Green Bay, that inside man-to-man coverage right before the half where they didn't protect the sidelines and the goal line, allowing Tampa Bay to score with 8 seconds left was just indefensible. I think Mike Pettine should have to answer for that. As the defensive coordinator at Green Bay, he should know better. He should know that you can't have inside man coverage with 8 seconds to go, no timeouts, and not protect the end zone or the sidelines. It's just the most fundamental thing as a defensive-minded coach that everybody knows that. And the Jets did it against the Raiders earlier in the season, and it cost Greg Williams his job, and rightfully so. What is Mike Pettine and Green Bay thinking, allowing Tampa Bay to score with 8 seconds to go? It was unbelievable to me.
It was, and again, for all we know, it could have been the player that his alignment, and it could have been his fault. You know what I'm saying? He's got another situation too. So yeah, for Mike Pettine, for the defensive coordinator, yeah, you can look at him, but again, we don't know what the call was.
Hell yeah, I'm going to look at him.
So it could have been the player. Let's look at the player, too.
Well, they had man-to-man coverage. They didn't guard the sidelines or the end zone. There was a zone that should have been a zone coverage. Come on.
Well,
it's horrible.
My point is that guy got destroyed the entire game. They picked on that player. So here's the bottom line. In my opinion, the Packers were the better team, but didn't win the game. That's why I'm telling you, right, JC, the story of Tom Brady is phenomenal. He's the greatest quarterback of all time for now. You know who's going to shred? He's going to shred his records, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, 15 is the only guy that could. He is going
to think about it. He's been in the league 4 years.
Yeah,
he should be in his 3rd straight Super Bowl. If you go back 2 years ago, I think there was a questionable call that allowed the Patriots to win that game in Arrowhead, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the exact play. Right. But he could be going for his 3rd straight Super Bowl. This is the most talented, gifted quarterback I have ever seen. And if he stays healthy, he is going to win multiple Super Bowls. You can't stop him.
Well, Brady is going for his 7th win, and he's played in 10. So that's quite a ladder to climb. But I'm not arguing with you.
But think about it. He's been in the league 4 years. Oh yeah, he's going to his 2nd and should be his 3rd, honestly.
Well, they lost to New England that day, QB. They were trailing the whole game. But I get it. I just think though that still, who cares? I mean, the truth is that Kansas City has the best player in football. Kansas City has the best player in football at the hardest position in sports. Kansas City has players around him that are damn good. I mean, really, really good. This is one of the best Super Bowl teams you'll see. So to me, there's no mistaking it. Kansas City is the class of the AFC. They could become the class of the NFL if they back up this Super Bowl with a win against Tampa Bay in Tampa. And I'm not ready to count the Bucs out. You would never do that with Tom Brady playing a home game in the Super Bowl. But basically, Kansas City is the class of the NFL. I mean, they've won the most games here in the last couple of years. So I agree with that. They've got the goods. They could easily win this game, and they could win it by 2 touchdowns. But I think it'll be close. We'll have 2 weeks to talk about it, and hopefully both teams will be healthy with the exception, of course, of those linemen you talked about.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line is an issue. They've had to shuffle for the last 3 or 4 weeks with the Chiefs, but
yeah,
Andy Reid he's a former offensive lineman. He knows how to protect his quarterback. His quarterback just makes throws and makes plays like I've never seen anyone do. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. I've never seen anybody play like him. I do. I've never been a fan of a player. I've just never been like that. But God, dog, I absolutely think Patrick Mahomes.
Love.
He's the most gifted player I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, it's a fair statement. I mean, the guy is tremendous. He's unbelievable, and it's why he's $500 million. $500 million.
He needs to be more than that. I'm telling you. Well, he's going to be the best we've ever seen, in my opinion. So.
I'm not even counting the State Farm and everything else that comes to him. I'm just saying Kansas City's going to pay him $500 million before it's all over. It's unbelievable.
Yep. So, Super Bowl, it should be a good one. No question about it. Some other sports news that happened. Before we jump into college basketball, big win for the Gators.
Man.
JC, how did we do on our Peachland Dentistry weekend picks?
Oh, QB. Well, you went 1-1 and I went 0-2 because I went with my
But
heart. But you picked the golfer of the weekend, the former TPC champion from South Korea, and the man who flies in coach and uses the middle seat, Si-Woo Kim.
You dang right.
23 under par. 20.
My Korean won the tournament.
Your Korean won the tournament. You picked 2 Koreans, and the one that won it was one of your 2 picks. There was another Korean in the tournament as well, but On finished, I think, in the top 10 as well. My guy, Michael Thompson, for what it's worth, finished tied for 5th. And, On finished tied for 8th. So you got a top 10 finish there, and you got the winner. My guy Thompson finished tied for 5th. So that was a really cool pick. And I guess we'll just do this on Wednesdays now. Next show I'm on to do the golf tournaments. That way we'll have 4 rounds to have to try to decipher through because, on Friday we had 3 rounds. So that was a great pick, QB. 23 under. You can't beat a guy that shoots 64. It's hard to beat a guy that shoots 64 on the last day, even though Patrick Cantlay shot 61 on the last day. Good for him. Next week, the Farmers Insurance Open, I think, will set up a little bit tougher for these guys at Torrey Pines. It should be a little bit lower scoring or higher scoring.
At Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're speaking with JC on the Titan hotline.
You're so proud that you got that Si-Woo Kim out there, aren't you?
Yep, we'll be joined about 8:30 by Coach Kevin O'Sullivan. JC, college basketball. Gators go to Athens and put it on the Georgia Bulldogs.
What a week
here are my
they had.
thoughts. And I mean, this may be a crazy statement, but this team plays better. This team plays better when Scotty Lewis ain't in the lineup.
It seems like it. Look, 5 guys in double figures, QB. 5 guys in double figures. Trey Mann was unstoppable, played 39 minutes. Good for him. I thought Tyree Appleby was good. I thought Noah Locke was good. Obviously, Castleton did his thing. But the team is, it seems so much more confident right now that in just a week's time, it's amazing what a difference a week seems to be able to make when they blow out the Tennessee, and then they go and hit the road against a team riding high off a win over Kentucky and beat them handily. I mean, they beat them handily. And in the second half, they really took over the game. It was really fun to watch. And I liked seeing that Florida was playing more confidently, 92 points on the board. That's what you're looking for. That's the kind of team you want to have here at Florida. And I guess we can put the Mike White doubters away for a while, at least. Now that they're winning a few games, we don't have to listen to that. Not that it was a big deal, but listen, Trey Mann, 24, 6, and 4. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. What a game he had. And it's got to be somebody to step up for this team, and then the rest seem to follow along in line. So I was happy. It was a career-high game for him. And, look, 50 points in the second half is how you win basketball games. Yeah.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, Georgia's not a great team, but they've beaten some good teams at home.
Yes, they have.
And it's just interesting to me. And I don't know what Scotty Lewis's health issue is. I don't know if it's COVID related or what, but I mean, we've just played a lot better since he's been out of the lineup. So
it seems that way. And they got, a very winnable game coming up Wednesday night at home against Vanderbilt. And then I'm really excited about next weekend, QB, because as you know, we have the SEC Big 12 Challenge. So Florida will be one of the SEC teams that has to travel in this challenge. And going to West Virginia will be no picnic, but I'm really curious to see how they perform against a very good team on the road way up there in West Virginia, with what should be a 3-game winning streak. So, this is going to be a fun week in basketball for the Florida Gators. I'm sure you'll have Chris Harry some point this week, and he can talk about some things that a little bit more in depth, but very winnable game Wednesday. And then this Big 12 Challenge with West Virginia on the road should be fun.
Yeah, West Virginia is a very good basketball team. Also in basketball, Bama wins not a squeaker, but it was very close. They beat Mississippi State. Auburn scores like 109 points. Kentucky routs LSU at home. LSU has trouble playing on the road. But you know who, and I was just flipping around the channels, and I've been watching them the last couple of weeks.
Right.
They're a top 10 team, maybe even a top 7 team, and they're not even ranked right now for whatever reason.
And that is
the semis.
Florida State, yeah. They're athletic.
I
don't
Leonard Hamilton, I've always been a guy who didn't think Leonard Hamilton was a great coach, but he, for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, he has had so much talent, and it's crazy how talented that team is and how they're playing right now. But they're by far the best team in the ACC.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. I mean, I don't understand the rankings. I don't. I mean, they had Alabama, a team that wasn't ranked in the top 25, out of the top 25 before last week. I guess I do, but Florida State should be ranked. I mean, Florida State is a very good basketball team, and they will be in the tournament. They will likely win, or could likely win, the ACC. I mean, I'm with you. I don't see that. I mean, who's watching these basketball games, QB, or who's not watching them?
Yeah, I don't know either. JC, did you see the interview by Coach K at Duke to the student reporter?
He yells at a student reporter. I mean, he's lost it this year. He's flat out lost
their team is horrible.
Granted, they are, but he's lost his composure. He's lost his composure after they got run out of the barn by Baylor. He lost his composure with this student, for God's sakes, a student. And who cares what the question was, really? Who cares? And if he can't handle it better, then maybe this guy needs to do something else, because he's only been there 3 decades or something like that. And I'm kind of tired of the Coach K thing, to tell you the truth, because as great as he is and as wonderful as he is, he's one of those guys that if you question one thing he does, the volcanoes come flying out, because God forbid you do that in his 30th year of coaching. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just not I never have been. I've always rooted for North Carolina in that rivalry. So I know there's a lot of Dukies out there, and he's a legend, unquestionably. But man, what are you taking it out on some kid for? I thought that was kind of slack. I didn't like it.
At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchase, $199 value. Our service department's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This day in sports, in 1981, the Super Bowl played at the Superdome in New Orleans. The Oakland Raiders beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-10. Do you know who the MVP was, JC, for that game?
Let me throw out Jim Plunkett.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, I was right.
Jim Plunkett, the quarterback for the
who
Oakland
is not in the Hall of Fame, by the way. Explain that one. Or is it Tom Flores? One of those two great Raiders is not in the Hall of Fame. It may be both. I don't know. But I can't understand that. But yeah, Jim Plunkett, my goodness, wow. And I'm pretty sure Tom Flores is not in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I think, look, it's amazing how the Superdome has survived all this time, isn't it? I mean, I love the Superdome. Don't you love the Superdome? I do. I love the Superdome.
You bring up a good point, because there's, everybody talks about amenities and making things nicer. I don't know if they've ever really done much to the Superdome.
Well, they had to after Katrina, QB. They had to put about $75 million into the thing because it was about to fail. And after Katrina, the federal government came in and saved the place, frankly. I think it was about $75-80 million to keep that place from failing and collapsing, or basically not being habitable, not being hospitable, whatever the word is. But the point is that the Superdome has survived so long, and it's one of the iconic buildings. And you always know what the Superdome is when you look in New Orleans. That's that white circle down there. But I've been to so many games, QB, in the Superdome, and we've had so many memories in that building. Of course, that's where Florida had one of its greatest football wins in the history of the program. So I think that the Superdome is, I don't know what got me on this Superdome thing, but, thinking that the Oakland Raiders played the Philadelphia Eagles and Ron Jaworski in that game with Jim Plunkett, that's cool. I love these dates in sports history, brought to you by
Comfort Temp.
By Comfort Temp, of course. So, yeah.
Sticking with the NFL, one of the guys who I think is an extremely talented quarterback that has just been – talent has been wasted, in my opinion, is Matt Stafford.
Yeah, Matt Stafford.
So, speaking of the Superdome, you think Matt Stafford could be the quarterback of the Saints next year?
I think it's going to be a great story of who's going to bid for Matt Stafford services. I've been hearing that Washington really wants him there. Certainly, I think the Dallas Cowboys should look at him, truthfully. I think Jerry Jones should look at Matt Stafford. I think with Mike McCarthy
he grew up in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, what a great fit that would be. And so I think Dallas could be in the running for him, certainly the Saints. But Washington is a team that I've been hearing a lot about for some reason on Twitter. They love the idea that Washington could be a place that he lands. But if I'm Matt Stafford, I'm thinking about going back to Texas and playing for the Dallas Cowboys if we can make it work.
What about Dak?
Well, that's the thing that Jerry's going to have to decide. Does he want to pay Matt Stafford, or does he want to give Dak Prescott over $37 million? And I don't think he does. And
I would pay Matt Stafford way before I'd pay Dak.
Right. So that's the decision, isn't it? And I only bring up the Cowboys because of the obvious nature of what their situation is at quarterback right now. But I think with Mike McCarthy, and I think with the young guy from Boise who's calling the plays there, Matt Stafford could do great. And certainly in Dallas, the organization is very supportive of their players. I think it would be a great place for that guy to finish his career. And we'll see if it happens. I don't know. He might end up in Miami for all we know. But still, I think you're right. I think that would be a good fit. But it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up, because I'm glad that he's finally getting out of that godforsaken Detroit.
Yeah. Speaking of sticking with the NFL here, there's going to be talk. Was it Brady or was it Belichick? What does JC think?
It's Brady. It's Brady. I mean, if this year didn't show you that, right? I mean, now good for Belichick. He's the most decorated NFL football coach in history, granted, but he had the most decorated quarterback in NFL history. And certainly he had to fit a team around Tom Brady and Tom Brady's greatness. But to me, yesterday showed you right there the answer to your question. And I think this whole season has. Tampa Bay finished as the 5th seed in the out of the 7 seeds that went to the playoffs. So they didn't have necessarily a great regular season, but when they had to turn it on and win, they did. And they won 3 road games. There's a lot of teams that have won Super Bowls. If you look back at Super Bowl champions, you will find plenty of teams like the Baltimore Ravens, for instance, in the Trent Dilfer era. There were plenty of teams that won the Super Bowl coming from the 5th or 6th seed when they only had 6 seeds and playing all of their playoff games on the road. So it can happen, and Tampa Bay did it. Granted, this is a different kind of season with no fans, basically, but you're still traveling, you're still playing on the road, you're still in the elements, whatever it is, and Tampa Bay won 3 games, winning at New Orleans against Drew Brees, at Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers, 2 Hall of Famers. So congrats. You're right. The defense won the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Tom Brady, outside of those 3 picks, still performed well enough for them to win that game, and they scored more points. So there you have it. The Bucs win, and let's go to Super Bowl.
And then you got this talk in Green Bay or nationally about Aaron Rodgers being traded. That would be the dumbest thing.
Zero chance, QB. He's got 4 years left on his contract. Nobody's ponying up for that right now. He's not ever going to leave Green Bay. unless he physically walks out of town. There's just no chance of that happening.
Yeah,
Zero.
I don't know why you would trade him away.
Well, I guess to free up some room. I don't know, but I don't think it's. I don't know. They got Hundley they got that kid from UCLA for some reason. Or no, Utah State.
No.
What was that kid's name?
Jordan Love drafted him in the first round from Utah State.
They got him for some reason. Don't know really what the story is there. I can't really figure out a lot of things that Matt LaFleur has done here in the last 12 months, frankly. But Aaron Rodgers is the reason why Green Bay was in that game. Aaron Rodgers is the reason why the Green Bay Packers were the top seed in the NFC, and Aaron Rodgers is going to probably win the MVP this year. You don't get rid of somebody like that to throw in a dude from Utah State that you drafted. So I don't know. I think it's silly. I don't know what the Packers' mindset is right now. They're a mess. They had this thing. They had a chance to score and tie the game last night. They chose to kick. That's all you need to know right there.
Yeah. We're going to congratulate two former Gators that are getting to play in the Super Bowl, wide receiver DeMarcus Robinson and punter Tommy Townsend. How about Tommy Townsend? He's a rookie.
Tommy Townsend. Yeah.
And he goes he doesn't get on the field very often unless they're kicking extra points of field goals because he's a holder, because they don't punt very often. No. Speaking of former Gators in the Super Bowl, tomorrow our guest after Buddy Martin will be Trey Burton, who won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles.
And who would have thought, Trey Burton's a great Gator, but who would have thought that you would see Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell suited up for the Super Bowl this year? Think about that. Those two guys come out of nowhere, miserable off the field issues, bad decisions, financial maker, just, bad things. And here they are in the Super Bowl, Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. But, good for those former Gators. That's cool.
All right, JC, we'll talk to you on Wednesday. You ready to study your golf picks for Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
We're going to take our first time out of the program here.
All right.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Sully, head baseball coach of the #1 ranked Florida Gators. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Sensei, Prime and Pearl, and opening soon Dave & Buster's, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. Now we're going to go to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by the head baseball coach of the #1 ranked team in America, Kevin O'Sullivan. What's happening, Coach? Good morning.
Not much. Just getting going with the day, and looking forward to opening the first practice that starts next Friday on the 29th.
Yeah, Coach, kind of bring everybody up to date. Obviously, you were the #1 ranked team last year in America, and COVID hits. I guess 11-1 or something like that. The last game of the year, you lose to Florida State. The last game at McKeithen Stadium. That's kind of got to be a bad taste in your mouth, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you never want to lose a game, let alone to one of your rivals. But we started out 16-0, and we put ourselves Yeah, and we put ourselves off to a pretty good start, and obviously, we lost the game on that Tuesday night to Florida State. But more importantly than that, it was just a disappointing end to our season and to everybody that was playing sports and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, everybody had to deal with it. But we're awfully excited to be getting going right now.
So I guess practice is getting ready to crank up. I'm curious. Let the listeners know because all those kids had an opportunity, if you were senior, to come back. I can't remember exactly who all came back. I know Austin Langworthy decided to go pro, but was it hard for you as a coach and your coaching staff from a numbers standpoint? Did they increase your roster size this year?
They did. They increased our roster size this year and next year. It didn't really affect us as much with seniors because most of our guys have signed. But what did benefit us with the draft only being 5 rounds was a guy like Kirby McMullen coming back and, who got off to a really good start for us, was hitting the middle of the order. But from a number standpoint, we knew that this year's roster, I think we have 22 guys eligible for the draft. So we needed to have a really good recruiting class and a big recruiting class for this next class coming in, the 21 class. So, it's going to be a huge turnover for us, but we've obviously got some depth. We got our numbers down. We're down to like 39 guys on our roster, just 4 guys over the normal 35. So we're in good shape that way. We've obviously had to make some adjustments to incoming players with so many guys coming back. A couple guys in particular, Tommy Mace and Jack Leftwich, who I did not anticipate coming back, our number 1 and 2 pitchers. So we've had to make some adjustments, but our roster is certainly manageable, and we got our numbers in check, and we're certainly prepared for the next class coming in.
So speaking of Mace and Leftwich coming back, did that cause any, I don't want to say issues, it's probably a good problem to have, but you've always had great arms come in and year out. Did that kind of cause any problems for any freshmen coming in, maybe getting a little more playing time?
No, I don't think it did, Shane. I think everybody kind of understands you kind of wait your turn here, especially from the pitching standpoint. It's really hard to come in as a freshman and be that guy pitching on Fridays or Saturdays. We took our time with Hunter, Barco last year. He didn't start the first couple of weekends. He got his first start down at Miami. But, it's one of those things where, guys need, have learned that they need to wait their turn. And if they're patient enough and work hard enough, things will work out in the end. I mean, you look at Jackson Coar and Brady Singer, their freshman year, they didn't start many SEC games or anything like that. I'd have to look back, but I think the only start that Brady Singer had his freshman year was against Alabama in the SEC tournament, and then, 4 years later or 5 years later, he's pitching in the big league. So I think those guys have learned when they come in, their turn will come, learn from the older guys and just, kind of fall in line with everybody else.
We're speaking with Coach Kevin O'Sullivan here on the Titan MR Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. So you're the number 1 team in America. Is this the most talented team that you've ever coached?
Well, it might be the deepest, but, I've been asked that question obviously an awful lot. And, Shane, I mean, the preseason rankings are, I'm trying to look for the right word, but it's at the end of the day, it's just nonsense. I mean, it's just what other people think. And if you would have asked me yesterday what I thought about my team, we're certainly not the best team in the country. And I think all coaches go through that. Baseball's a different sport. We play a lot more games than other sports. And, there's going to be ups and downs regardless of how good you are. I go back to 2017 when we, won a national championship and we got swept at Auburn, first SEC weekend. We had one of the worst pitching games I've been involved with. We broke a walk record, most number of walks in one game against USF at the end of the year. We got taken to game 7 against Bethune-Cookman in the regional. They beat Brady Singer. We got taken to game 3 in the supers. And then we lost a game against TCU that we had to use Alex Paedo in a game to get us to the finals. So baseball's just different. You got to be resilient. You got to be able to overcome certain obstacles. And I've always said, people have asked, that 2017 was not your most talented, but my answer has always been it was the most talented team at the right time of the year. And sometimes that's the answer. So, when I've done these interviews and people have talked about how good our team is and how deep it is, that's all fine and good. And I haven't shied away from that. But at the end of the day, we haven't won a single game this year. We haven't had any type of adversity as far as injuries or COVID or anything. So we're going to have the same obstacles as everybody else is going through in the fall and spring sports, and how we handle that and how we handle the expectations from people on the outside is probably going to determine, how we finish. And as well as I do, the number one team preseason doesn't always win the last game of the year. I think Alabama football has kind of proven that is a staple for their program, but there's very few programs in any sport that have been able to establish that. So we've got a lot of obstacles ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to that, from a head coaching standpoint, to try to manage all this stuff. But we are certainly not at a point right now to where we think that we can just show up and play and beat anybody. And I think you could see that the other night when Tennessee played Florida in basketball.
Right.
I can't speak for Tennessee basketball, but, maybe their kids weren't ready to play Florida, and they're ranked number 6 in the country. And at the end of the day, when we play any school in our league and they're not having the best year, that they're used to having, you can't take LSU or Arkansas or Ole Miss or anybody for that matter for granted. And maybe those kids did on one particular night. And, at the end of the day, no one should ever take Florida for granted or anybody in our league for granted in any sport.
Coach, you talked about how deep your team is, maybe the deepest team you've ever had with so much talent. I can't imagine when you get ready to write that lineup card every game, you're going to be leaving off some good players that may have to wait their turn or have to earn some playing time. And baseball is not like any other sport where you can insert a guy for a couple of plays and then pull him out, put him back in, because once he comes out, he's done. How difficult do you think it's going to be filling out a lineup with this much talent?
You could look at it one of two ways. You can either settle in on, 9 or 10 or 11 guys in the lineup and go with it, or you can do what we did last year. We kind of had a rotation, and we only played 17 games, but I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look at the box scores that we had the same lineup 2 games in a row. And we have enough talent to where we can rotate guys around and keep people happy. But at the end of the day, it's about performance, and it's a team sport. And we preach that here, and guys have got to understand that their time will come. I give the speech every year. The first weekend, that lineup is never the same as it is at the end of the year, whether it be injuries or performance or whatever it might be. And, I think our players understand that. It's a process. And I know that's used a lot in coach speak, but these players are here for 3 years for the most part. And their ultimate goal is to win a national championship here and be as high a draft as they possibly could be. And over the last 13 years, we've been able to prove that if they just stay patient and work hard.
No doubt. Coach, how good is Judd Fabian? Could he be one of the best players, or maybe the best player to ever play here?
We've been really fortunate to have some really good center fielders. I think the remarkable thing about him is he graduated high school early, so he's really a sophomore age-wise. So he'll be one of the youngest players to go into the draft this year. His offense has always been probably his strength. What he's learned to do is lay off breaking balls out of the zone. He's got a better feel for the strike zone, so his strikeout rate has gone down, tremendously. But the thing that is different for him, his defensive ability and the way he throws and runs the bases is just different. But like I said, we've had Matt Dendecker, we've had Buddy Reed. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we've had some tremendous center fielders over the years. So obviously he's going to have a great career moving forward. But, when you term a 5-2 player, I mean, he fits into that mold. I mean, he can run, he can throw, he can play defense, he can hit, and he's got power. So we'll see what the next couple of years hold for him. Obviously, professional baseball will be, a big adjustment for him like it is for anybody. And obviously he's going to have to, deal with, with people thinking he's this type of draft or that type of draft. And, so there's going to be some obstacles there, but certainly he's put himself in a tremendous position as far as the draft is concerned. I'm really happy for him, and he's worked awfully hard to get there.
So is it safe to say your rotation first series against the Miami Hurricanes is going to be, Tommy Mace, Jack Leftwich, and Barco, or we got some young guns coming in?
I don't know if there's any freshmen that would crack that rotation, but certainly Nick Pogue has been extremely, extremely valuable. I kind of compare him to like Dane Dunning in 2016, who was a first-round pick. He started. He came in the middle of games. He finished games at the end. He's just so valuable. But I think right now, if we were to put together a rotation, I think those guys have earned the right to start the season that way. But things change, all the time. And Shane, as you know, I mean, you can go through fall practice and you're not playing any games other than inter squads or doing the spring football game and that type of thing. But when the lights go on in August or when the lights go on for us in February, things change. And, so I'm always ready for change if that happens. But certainly those three guys, if they're not good for us and Nick Pogue's not good, for us and a few other guys, and certainly we're not going to reach our ultimate goal.
Coach, you're opening up the new ballpark, Florida ballpark. First of all, I want you to let us know, are you pleased with everything? Sometimes when you build a house and you get in it for a little bit, you go, man, I wish I would have done this to this room or that room. Is there anything that you wish you would have changed? And, man, what a great way to open that place up with the Miami Hurricanes coming to town.
To be honest with you, no. I think everything was done phenomenally. I mean, from a player standpoint, from a fan standpoint, from the locker room to the media room to the pitching lab. I mean, you could go on and on. I think it's kid friendly. Marketing has done a really good job of having some really good ideas and of how they can integrate all this. Scott Strickland obviously has been involved, and I've been involved to a certain degree, but that's not my strength. I'm just awfully excited, that this place has turned out to be, in my opinion, the nicest stadium in the country. It may not be the biggest, but it certainly is the right stadium for the University of Florida. And like I said, I think it checks all the boxes. And we're obviously, to be a part of something like this, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be involved in a project like this. And I've had so many people behind the scenes that were involved, Buddy Monroe and Lars Davis and the rest of our coaching staff. Scott was, was really, we're just grateful that he gave us the opportunity to have some input, but I'd be lying if I had any input at all. I'm more focused on the recruiting aspect and
Right.
and getting our team ready to go. And I trust the people that are way smarter than me to put this thing together.
We got a text on the Titan MRI hotline. It comes from Willie. Willie wants to know, Coach, where's your favorite stadium to play at in the SEC? I guess he's referring to the atmosphere.
Stadium.
Maybe the atmosphere.
All right, let me think here. Obviously, LSU is very good. We don't play Arkansas every year. Mississippi State is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Obviously with the cooking and the things they have going on in the outfield. Ole Miss has got they got their own unique thing in right field. I think I said Arkansas, that's unique. I think the great thing about our league is everybody's got their own unique, piece or pieces to their stadium that makes them unique. And Vanderbilt is a different stadium, but it's tight, and their fans are really supportive of their team. And I can go on and on, but everybody's got something. But I would say this once again: anytime you play anybody in the SEC, whether it be home and especially away, it's a difficult place to play.
Yep. Coach, what's the protocol going to be for guys in the dugout? Because we see the basketball arenas now, how they're all spaced out along the baseline and where the regular bench is. Are they going to make you guys do anything different, kind of stay away from one another in the dugout?
Well, there's talks. There's a lot of different things. We've been doing this for the last couple of weeks to try to come up with, or not come up with, but adhere to the different protocols that people have presented to us. The difficult thing about baseball is, I know in Major League Baseball, they've taken pitchers that aren't going to throw that day and they put them in the stands. I just don't know the seating and what that's going to look like above our dugout. It'd be nice to maybe put some of the non-throwing pitchers that day to sit in the first row above our dugout. But then again, there might be fans there. So I don't know if that's going to work. We certainly could put more pitchers into the bullpen area. I don't want to get into a situation where we're going to address less. I do know, at least what I'm being told, that contracting COVID in an outside sport minimizes, the contact. So obviously mask. Well, I think more of it has to do with when we go on the road. When we travel to away games, we're going to have just not one bus, but two buses. We've got to be creative when we get on a flight, whether it be a charter or a commercial flight. We've got to be creative when we have our pregame, meetings, and scouting report meetings with our team. There's been talk about our players not eating in the traditional, lobby or hall room of a hotel. Maybe we have, box pregame meals and box breakfast, and they take it back to their hotel room. So there's a lot of things that are, that we've been, presented with, and we just got to figure out what's best for us. We've talked about, the coaching staff maybe taking rental cars to the places that we drive, whether it be in midweek or Georgia, or Auburn or South Carolina. So there's been a lot of things that we've talked about, but whatever they are, we're certainly going to take the measures that we need to hopefully put ourselves in the best position to continue playing games.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Coach, it's kind of a unique question here. I always wanted to ask a baseball coach this. So I assume you wore number 7 in your playing days?
No.
Oh, you did?
No, I wore number 8.
So why do you wear number 7? Why do you wear number 7 now? I'm curious.
Okay, so it's a good question. I spent 9 years at Clemson, and the head coach there was Jack Leggett, and right. He really gave me my first opportunity at the big time Division I level, and he and I are extremely close. So he was number 7, and I've kind of waited. I've had a couple different numbers since I've been here, but once number 7 opened up a few years ago, I grabbed it. And I've had a few recruits ask me for number 7.
Well, that's where I was going.
I tell them everything's negotiable. Everything's negotiable, but I haven't had an offer that would lead me to believe that I need to give up number 7. So it's really not my fault. So that's kind of how it started.
Okay.
And that's how I still have it.
Yeah, because that's where I was going with it, because I was curious why you wore it, because, everybody, us athletes, we're attached to numbers. And I was always curious if one of your big-time recruits, a Judd Fabian or somebody's like, I wear number 7, Coach. You're going to have to give it up. I didn't know if Kevin O'Sullivan would give up number 7 for one of his recruits.
Well, I'll tell you this. If we come down to June, and the draft is now, I think, moved back to around 4th of July, if I ever have a big recruit ask me for number 7, and he would turn down a certain amount of money, I would very much be open to giving it up. But that has not happened. I think they're scared to ask me for number 7. So we'll see. I'm sure that will happen at some point over the next few years.
All right. Good stuff, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time. Can't wait for this season to crank up. Can't wait to get out to the ballpark. And we wish you guys a lot of luck, and we'll catch up with you during the season.
Thanks, Shane. It's great catching up with you, bud.
Yeah, that's Coach Kevin O'Sullivan. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the program. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Monday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, and Dowling Signs. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Monday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security Systems Studios. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us and the head baseball coach at the University of Florida, your number 1 ranked Gators. Coach Kevin O'Sullivan giving us some of his time before this season cranks up. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We have Buddy Martin and another special guest. Make sure you follow us and like us on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Overcast, Podbean, and any of the other 39 platforms out there that you can listen to a podcast. Tell your friends about us, folks. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow.